Beverage company Littlle Green Beverage is facing a strike following deadlocks in salary negotiations. Labour Union General Industries Workers Union of South Africa obtained a certificate of non-resolution from the Commission for Conciliation, Mediation and Arbitration. The union says for the past 3 years, the company has failed to give workers inflation-adjusted salary increase. For more on this, we're joined by GIWUSA President Mametlwe Sebei. Mametlwe, good evening and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening to you and to viewers.
Let's maybe start by just laying the foundation a little bit as to what is at the heart of the threat for strike. What are the issues at hand that you are having as GIWUSA?
It is a fact that, as you correctly pointed out, over a number of years, and particularly in the past 3 years, the company has actually refused to grant workers even just, an inflation-adjusted salary increases. And that effectively means that in real terms, the wages and conditions of our members have actually been falling instead of keeping up with inflation, which you would remember, it has been at its highest at some point. And I think for the working class who, spend most of their income on food and basic necessities like transport and other things, actually inflation is even way above the official CPI. So therefore, you are looking at workers who have been taking a hammering, particularly in a context of a rising cost of living crisis. And we are saying that we cannot have a situation wherein our members, the working class people in this country, continue to bear the brunt of the cost of living crisis, the brunt of interest rates, the brunt of the crisis, which is not of their making.
So, as you say, this is something that has been going on for just around 3 years. Have you had conversations and discussions with management, and how did that pan out? Are you saying that for the past 3 years, there's not been any possibility of finding each other with the powers that be?
And we continue to negotiate a certificate of non-resolution. It shows that actually the engagements have failed. And in fact, even at level of CCMA, you don't just go there and say that we failed at company level and therefore I want certificate. The CCMA is under obligation to conciliate, and even at that level we couldn't find each other, because what you have is a company that is determined to guarantee a super profit through a ruthless exploitation of our members, of the workers of the company, for the enrichment of their few shareholders, their few shareholders. And we say that this problem, with the way that, this company, but also the economy is running, because you've got to look at what is actually happening here. Look, you have a situation wherein we have been told that wage increases are the factor behind inflation rate. But what we are seeing is that even in those sectors where workers are hammered, where we've been having a devastation of workers' conditions, this is only one company. You would remember that we had a 6-month strike at Clover. But what you are seeing is that despite workers getting a below inflation, wage increases, the inflation for this, on the part of this company, continue to be very high. You look at the inflation for food and non-alcoholic beverages. In October, it was 8.7%. That is well above 5.9% CPI. So what does that tell you? It tells you that these companies are profiteering from the crisis of the cost of living that they have created for the working class, at the same time as they are ruthlessly holding down the wages of the workers to make sure that they can't even cope with the cost of the very things that they actually manufacture and produce with their own labor.
Let's talk specific figures here. What exactly are you asking for in terms of numbers? And what is the level that the workers are at the moment when you say it's below and you're looking at this particular point? Talk to us specifically about those numbers, if you may.
At the moment, we are consulting with members in terms of, continuing to engage with the company, revising, but also we're not the only union that is involved. But the reality is that we said it has to be above. That is currently the inflation rate is at 5.9%, and plus a certain figure that will also make up for the losses that the workers have actually suffered over years. That is where we are. We are concerned with our members around that, and we are not finding each other with the company. Instead, the company is clearly trying to intimidate our members, because what they've then done is that they are, forcing them to sign, contracts that, or social media policy, as they call it, where our members are not allowed to actually even speak out to public about the increasing degradation and decline and falling wages, which is what they're experiencing. So our bottom line is it must be inflation related and a top up on top of that inflation related, because when you get workers increases at level of inflation, you are actually not even increasing their wages. You are effectively only adjusting them to the cost of living. And I've already explained that the problem with that is that we use CPI, but the reality is the inflation for a low income earners. You have the workers in this company that are earning 5,600. These are what we call the working poor. They can't afford food. They can't afford transport. They basically spend huge amount of money just traveling to and from work and eating at work, not feeding their family, not ensuring that they have a proper housing, not ensuring that they have a proper education and access to health, and all the requirements that are a cost of social reproduction of labor. None of this are affordable, and we want a decent minimum wages, and we want a decent increases in this company. So
what is the company offering, Mametlwe? As you say, these are, as you've just explained, your demands as GIWUSA. But what is the company saying? What are they offering?
And their ongoing engagement, I don't know what, I can't recall what is their latest figure, but they are below inflation rate. So even as we are speaking, those engagements are continuing, but it is clear that we are at a deadlock because they are nowhere close to what we want them to say. And this is going to be inflation adjustment. And of course, and this is how we're going to top up the workers. But we'll be able to provide those, of course, at the time when we have, after we've finalized consultations, after it is clear that we have a definite date for the strike, which is what we are mobilizing and we are consulting our members about.
Let's touch on that. As in fact the CCMA has approved that strike, what is the plan? Is it still a matter of consultation before you come out with a definite plan of action?
We are certainly mobilizing our members. We are definitely preparing for a strike. We are going to announce a definite date in the next coming few days, as soon as we have finalized consultations. But we're not just only consulting our members. We're obviously consulting other unions and the broad workers' movement, because we expect the support for this. The reality is that the workers' movement must unite to ensure that we draw the line on the sand. It cannot be that we overcome or we make the workers to pay, as I said, for the cost of for the crisis of the cost of living, but also the general crisis in the economy. These are companies that have been profiteering, right, from the increases and, way above CPI inflation in this particular sector of food and non-alcoholic beverages. But the reality is the working class is paying for the crisis in general. I mean, we are talking at a moment where inflation is at 5.9. It has just accelerated, actually, in October. We are talking at a time where interest rates are standing at 11.75%. We are talking at a time where the working class people are struggling to make the end meet. As I've said, these workers are part of the overwhelming majority of the workforce in this country. That is above 80% of the workers that we consider to be the working poor. The minimum wages in this company are 5,600. 5,600. How do you even begin to feed a family on average of about 8 people that are dependent on an average worker in the context of the high levels of unemployment? These are issues that we are consulting on when we are saying that the workers' movement must unite, because it's not just only our members who are losing out in this crisis. Look at the latest report that was released by Bank Africa Take-Home Pay Index that shows that the wages and salaries of the workforce in this country fell by 10.4% last year. And of course, it also fell a year before. So the working class is losing this crisis. We are literally being made to pay through a savage cuts on our wages, a savage attack on our overall conditions and the quality of life and the standards of living, not only for the employed, but even those that are dependent on these few employed workers in a sea of poverty and mass unemployment. We cannot let this continue, and we say that there must be a point where we say we draw the line and we say here and no further.
So what sort of numbers of workers are we talking about, Mametlwe, considering that the company has got branches in 4 different provinces? Do you have a rough idea, an estimate of how many workers are affected?
Is over 1,000 workers. Is over 1,000 workers. And yes, it is in Gauteng, in Eastern Cape, in Western Cape, and I think KZN. Those are the provinces where these workers are located at various depots of the company.
And just finally then, Mametlwe, as you did say that it's a matter of consultation not only with those that are affected but other unions, how soon are you looking at getting this plan of action? Because understandably, this is a matter of life and death, if one can put it that way.
Yes, one of the difficulties, let me tell you what this company has done. One of the difficulties has been they have actually used an unlawful tactic of threatening to withhold the bonuses our members are entitled for, which they get at the end of December. And one of the conditions that they have added is that the workers should not participate in any form of strike. Now, that is blatantly unlawful. And I mean, the issue is they are threatening to take the livelihoods and what Christmas our members are hoping, even in the dire financial situation, in the dire conditions of the cost of living crisis, and on the basis of the mega wages. So part of it is, do we want to wait for them to get that bonus before we go on a strike? So those are some of the technical considerations that we are obviously evaluating. Be that as it may, we are fully mobilizing, we are organizing, and I can say this much. The strike is on the horizon. It's not a matter of if, it's when, and that announcement is going to be made in the coming few days.
Mametlwe, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you so much for coming through. That is GIWUSA President Mametlwe Sebei, just keeping us up to speed with the latest as far as the pending strike at the Littlle Green Beverage beverages company, with workers have not received any increase in the past 3 years.